The chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead, they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. The Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all. For generations, your family, the Kuzlans, has stewarded the lands of Highever, earning the loyalty of your people with justice and temperance. When your country was occupied by the Orlesian Empire, your father and grandfather served the embattled kings of your land. Today, your elder brother takes up House Kuzlan's banner in service to the crown, not against the men of Orlais, but against the bestial Darkspawn rising in the south.
I trust then that your troops will be here shortly.
I expect they will start arriving tonight, and we can march tomorrow. I apologize for the delay, my lord. This is entirely my fault.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn in the south has us all scrambling, doesn't it? I only received the call from the king a few days ago myself. I'll send my eldest off with my men. You and I will ride tomorrow just like the old days.
True. But we both had less grey in our hair then. And we fought Orlesians, not monsters.
At least the smell will be the same. I'm sorry, Pop, I didn't see you there. How? You remember my daughter?
I see she's become a lovely young woman. Pleased to see you again, my dear. My son Thomas asked after you. Perhaps I should bring him with me next time. Ha! To what end, she says. So glib, too. She's just like her mother when she talks like that.
See what I contend with, Hal? There is no telling my fierce girl anything these days. Make her bless her heart.
Quite talented, I'm sure. One to watch.
At any rate, Pup, I summoned you for a reason. While your brother and I are both away, I'm leaving you in charge of the castle. I'm certain you'd more than prove yourself, but I am not willing to deal with your mother if you join the war. She'd kill me if I let you go. She's already twisted into knots about Fergus and me going. I doubt that. You know your mother, and she made it clear there is no debate. This is no needless task. I ask you to take a great responsibility. Only a token force is remaining here, and you must keep peace in the region. You know what they say about mice when the cat is away. Yes. There's also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Tyrn Gooseland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup, Brother Aldous taught you who the Grey Wardens are, I hope. They are the heroes of legend, who ended the blight and saved us all. Duncan is looking for recruits before joining us and his fellow Wardens in the south. I believe he's got his eye on Sir Gilmore.
If I might be so bold, I would suggest that your daughter is also an excellent candidate.
Honor though that might be, this is my daughter we're talking about. I have not so many children that I'll gladly see them all off to battle. Unless you intend to invoke the right of conscription.
Have no fear. While we need as many good recruits as we can find, I've no intention of forcing the issue.
Pup, can you ensure that Duncan's requests are seen to while I'm gone? In the meantime, find Fergus, and tell him to lead the troops to Ostagar ahead of me. Upstairs in his chambers, no doubt, spending some last moments with his wife and my grandson. Be a good lass and do as I've asked. We'll talk soon.
Let's get started.
Oh, my lady, we were just, Well, the treasury's safe. I'm not even sure why the Tyrn stationed us here. No, my lady, of course not. Yes, my lady. Thank you, my lady.
There you are. Your mother told me the Tyrn had summoned you, so I didn't want to interrupt. Pardon my abruptness, my lady. It's simply that I've been looking everywhere for you. I fear your hound has the kitchens in uproar once again, and is threatening to leave. No matter how the maids try to keep him out, he always finds a way in. You know these Mabari hounds. He'll listen to his mistress, but anyone else risks having an arm bitten off. I'm not willing to test that. You're quite lucky to have your own Mabari warhound, you know. Smart enough not to talk, my father used to say. Of course, that means he's easily bored. Nan swears he confounds her just to amuse himself. At any rate, your mother would have me accompany you until the matter is settled, shall we? Your mother was quite specific. Unless the castle is under attack, you get that dog before doing anything else. Her words, not mine. Before we go, my lady, might I beg a question? I've heard from several people that a Grey Warden is here. Is that true? Then, is it also true that this Grey Warden was asking after me? Maker's breath, are you certain? Can you imagine me, a Grey Warden? It would be everything I've dreamed of. Of course, I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Pardon my outburst.
Get that bloody mutt out of the larder.
But mistress, it won't let us near.
If I can't get into that larder, I'll skin both of you useless elves, I swear it.
Calm down, good woman. We've come to help.
You and you! Your bloody mongrel keeps getting into my larder. That beast should be put down. A blight wolf is what he is. How am I supposed to work like this?
Oh dear. Mistress, calm down, please.
That's it. I'll quit. Inform the turner. I'll go and cook at some nice estate in the Banorn.
Nan, please. We'll get the dog. Calm down.
Just get him gone. I've enough to worry about with a castle full of hungry soldiers. You two, stop standing there like idiots. Get out of the way.
Right.
Oh, look at that mess. How did he even get in here? Oh, encourage the hound, why don't you? No wonder he keeps giving Nan fits. He does seem like he's trying to tell you something. Wait, did you hear that? Giant rats? It's like the start of every bad adventure tale my grandfather used to tell. Your hound must have chased them in through their holes. Looks like he wasn't raiding the larder after all. Those were rats from the Kokari Wilds. Best not to tell Nan. She's upset enough as it is. But seeing as you've got your Mabari well in hand, I'll be on my way. I'm to prepare for the arrival of more of the Isle's men.
There he is, as brazen as you please, licking his chops after helping himself to the roast, no doubt. Look at him now. Snuck into my larder once again and makes off like a free thief, he does.
Oh, mistress, there are rats in the larder. Big ones.
Oh, looks like the dog killed them.
Oh, I bet that dog led those rats into there to begin with. Oh, don't even start with the sad eyes. I'm immune to your so-called charms. Here then, take these pork bits and don't say that Nan never gives you anything. Bloody dog. Thank you, my lady. Now we can get to work. That's right, you two. Quit standing about.
And my dear Bryce bought this back from Orlais last year. The Marquis who gave it to him was drunk, I understand, and mistook Bryce for the king. Ah, here is my lovely daughter. I take it by the presence of that troublesome hound of yours that the situation in the kitchen is handled? You've always had a way with her. Darling, you remember Lady Landra, Ban Lawrence's wife?
I think we last met at your mother's spring salon. You're too kind, dear girl. Didn't I spend half the salon trying to convince you to marry my son?
And made a very poor case for it, I might add.
You remember my son, Dyron. He's not married yet either.
Don't listen to her. It's good to see you again, milady. You're looking as beautiful as ever.
And this is my lady-in-waiting, Iona. Do say something, dear.
It is a great pleasure, my lady. You are as pretty as your mother describes.
You would think that it would make it easier to make a match for her, not more difficult.
Perhaps your daughter simply has a mind of her own, your ladyship. You should be proud.
Proud doesn't get me any more grandchildren. All evidence to the contrary.
I think perhaps I shall rest now, my dear. Dyron, I will see you and Iona at supper.
Perhaps we'll retire to the study for now.
Good evening, your ladyship.
You should say goodbye to Fergus while you have the chance. Yes, your father mentioned that. You haven't got it into your head that you want to be recruited. There's enough here at the castle to occupy you. I don't need you off chasing danger like your brother. If he's not out with his men, probably upstairs with Oriana. I know it's difficult to stay in the castle and watch others ride off, but we must see to our duties first. You understand that, don't you? It's in the Maker's hands now, and we must cope as best we can. For a few days. Then I'll travel with Lady Landra to her estate, and keep her company for a time. Your father thinks my presence here might undermine your authority. Don't worry, my dear. It won't be long. As do I. Your father and brother are marching off to fight Maker knows what. All the assurances in the world don't comfort me, but it wouldn't help for us to take up arms and follow. Fergus and your father have their duty, and we have ours. I love you, my darling girl. You know that, don't you? Go do what you must, then. I will see you soon.
Thank you again for your help. Now, if you'll just hold on a moment. Yes? Adney, get moving with those casts. And Kath, do you think you can serve that to the turn with dirt from the floor all over it?
Miserable old bat.
Old bat, am I? We've got to work double time on supper, sweep out the hearths, and no complaining. Don't even mention that. These two will run like a pair of frightened kittens, and then where will I be? Thank you for coming to your old nanny's rescue. That blasted hound is more trouble than he's worth. He is. And don't start with me. You've gotten all you're getting today. But what about you, my lady? Been keeping safe and well behaved, I hope? Huh. Clever whelp. That mouth of yours will get you into trouble one day. Do you remember that bedtime tale I used to tell you? The dog that bit? Good. Then you can start. You'd think I hadn't told you this tale 1,000 times. Before our fathers' fathers came down from the mountains, a warhound was born to the elder bitch of a tribal chief. They named him Haku and gave him everything. He grew up a fine, strong pup, destined to be the partner of the chief's eldest son. The young hound became arrogant, taking food from his kin and warning them, in the way of dogs, that the chief's family would punish them if they tried to attack him. Years passed, and the time for the chief's son to take a warhound came closer. Haku's pride swelled, and many of the people of the tribe came to the chief, quietly whispering of this dog's bullying. With each complaint, the chief saw only Haku's strength and pride, and sent his people away. But as his son grew, the chief watched more closely. The day might come when his boy's life would depend on this dog. If the humblest of his people would not trust Haku, how could he? When the day came, Haku sat proudly waiting to be called, but the old chief chose Haku's brother as his son's hound. Haku was shamed, but felt no remorse. So great was his rage that he darted across the fire pit and bit the chief's hand. No, an impulsive and prideful one. The chief and his son struck at Haku, cursing him. The hound ran into the village, seeking shelter in the tents and kennels. The other dogs snapped at him, and the tribe's people threw stones at him. Before the chief could reach him, the tribe had torn Haku apart. Now, what should you carry from this tale? Exactly. Haku took advantage of a position he thought he was entitled to. But you're far too old now for an old woman to be reminding you to watch how you behave, It's a story worth repeating. That's all. Be off with you then. Tell your brother farewell before he rides off to war. I can't chatter anymore. I've a whole army to feed, and then some. And don't think you two will get away from me anytime soon. I heard that. I'd beat you black and blue if I didn't need your arms working. Blasted elves.
Shouldn't you be off to your brother, as I asked? Your brother and I go into battle, not an afternoon tea. Who knows what will happen to us? I will tell you, however, you're my darling daughter. I love you, and I trust you completely to carry on the Kuzlin name if the worst should happen. But don't worry about me, dear girl. You'll have enough to occupy your mind while I'm gone. When the king demands it. In fact, not sending our forces south would be a distinctly bad idea. Don't worry, pup. You shouldn't see many problems, but I want you to prepare the men left here, in case. Legends of the Blights tell of horrible things. These darkspawn once threatened many lands. If we can't hold them, you must prepare for the worst. I know you will. You are a Kuzland, after all. But let's not speak of ominous things. We shall assume that all will go well, and the Maker will watch over us. I'll talk to you soon. Just let me finish my meeting with Duncan.
I'm sorry, but I believe your father wishes to talk to the Arl and myself alone. Your father has left you in charge of the castle? Then I will see you at dinner tomorrow, if not sooner. Honestly, the Wardens would be thrilled to have you, but I won't go against your father's wishes. If you wish to discuss this further, however, let us talk after your father and the Arl depart.
I'm standing right here, you know.
I'm only suggesting satisfying my host's curiosity, as tempting as recruitment might be.
Yes? We fought together under King Maric when he drove the Orlesians out of Ferelden. Heady times. The years since have not held the same promise. It's not something a youth would understand. It will be good to ride beside your father again. Your father hasn't spoken of our time with him? That man took care of his friends. As they say, he was large as life and twice as tall. It's too bad Kalen isn't half that. I think of him as much as he thinks at all.
That's enough, Hal. You speak of our king.
The girl did ask, your lordship. As per the latitude you allow. I merely offered my opinion. The topic has come up from time to time. The young and their infatuations. That speaks to your nature, not ours. I can't say I approve of the freedom your father allows. If something did happen, well, we'd address it as befits a family of our stature. I'm sure there will be much to discuss once I return. Another time, then.
Good evening, milady.
Hello, my dear girl. By chance, I am beginning to teach these young squires about your family's history.
Do we have to? History is boring.
Boys, you are referring to the Couslands, the very family in whose castle you live. Show some respect. If the mind is not exercised, it withers just as the body does. Perhaps you'd care to join me in teaching the lesson? Wonderful. Oh, the Cousland history is long indeed. Where shall we start? Well, records are vague, but the Couslands became Tierns during the Black Age. Is that familiar, child? Good. I'm pleased some of my lessons seem to have stuck. At that time, your family held only the minor title of Ban. When the werewolves reached this area, Ban Mather Cousland organized a curfew and patrols within the city. Several other local bands supported his efforts by swearing oaths of fealty, making him their Tiern. Well, I'm glad some of my lessons don't disappear into that yawning chasm between your ears, young lady. If I were truly a skilled tutor, I suspect I would not encounter such insouciance amongst my pupils. You can look that up later. At any rate, your family has held the Tourneur of High Ever since before King Calenhad united Ferelden. In fact, Tierna Elethea Cousland battled Calenhad to maintain High Ever's independence. Calenhad wished to unite Ferelden, not conquer it. After Elethea's men were defeated, Calenhad asked her to swear fealty. The boulder where they held council still stands today as a memorial of that event. The Couslands are ardent royalists now, but at that time, Calenhad was unknown and considered dangerous by many. When Calenhad's army reached High Ever, Tierna Elethea led the local bands against him. Obviously, Calenhad won. The history between the Couslands and the House reaches back to the Orlesian occupation. During your grandfather's rule, of course, Orlais found it difficult to hold these lands. During the rebellion against Orlais, several battles were fought near High Ever. The port village of Harper's Ford was the Tourneur's center. Its Arl was Tarleton Howe. Though nearly 90, he was still as sharp and bitter as cheap ale. Your grandfather openly supported the rebellion, but Howe sided with Orlais. Your family was forced to seize Harper's Ford before it was all over. The Howes eventually joined the rebellion, when all of Ferelden united behind King Merrick and General Logain, just as now we united behind Merrick's son, King Cailan, to fight the Darkspawn. Thank you for indulging an old man.
Does that mean we have to listen to you now?
Silence! I will not have you two becoming smart-mouthed hooligans. Perhaps you should go. I doubt they need any more distraction. I'm just going to settle in here and apparently just talk to myself for all the good I'm doing. Damn it, myself all this while you do this.
Hello again. Your castle study is wonderful. Might I ask whose collection this is? So would I. Do you have a favorite book? Good choice. Timaeus' theory on the nature of dragons and how they connect to Darkspawn is quite intriguing. No more than anyone else. Is it true there is one here in the castle? Have you met him? I'd join the Grey Wardens in a heartbeat. Can you imagine destroying the Darkspawn forever? Becoming a hero? But I'd never gain a Grey Warden's notice. I'll have to be happy under your father's command. Yes, though I don't know when, I will leave when your father does. I'll ride as his second. A glorified squire, more or less. I'll care for his horse and armor and such. It's quite an honor. I hope so. I admit to trepidation about facing Darkspawn, but I can't imagine an opponent more worthy of defeat. Of course, milady. I am sure you have much to do yet.
That is a wonderful dog. He seems very noble and intelligent. Greetings once again, my lady. Lady Landra has been very good to me. I am lucky. If I may, I see that you have no ladies in waiting. Is this usual for a noblewoman of your rank? You are very kind, my lady. I am nobody special. You make me blush. My family has been in service to hers for many years. Lady Landra elevated my place as a reward for our loyalty. I hope this position might pass to my daughter. Forgive me, I shouldn't have mentioned her. Her name is Amathine. Her father died of a wasting sickness 2 years ago. Thank you. He is with the Maker now. Lady Landra is good to her elven servants. That is not true in many households, but I hear it is in yours. It speaks well of your father to show such compassion. I am an open book, my lady. What would you like to know? Lady Landra's manor is not half so large as your castle, so my family lives in the alienage. There, we do not stand out quite so much. In an alienage, my daughter learns what it means to be elven, as much as possible. So much of our history has been lost. That is an awkward question. What do you mean? Sometimes, but to be honest, we elves have lost much of our history. Few speak our language anymore, and many do not know what being elven means. We live amongst you, worship as you do, sing the same songs, eat the same foods. I am a Ferelden woman, yet my race will always set me apart. No longer. I have little time for such things. Between caring for my daughter and Lady Landra, very little. Though I would not rule it out if the right person came along. Of course. Farewell, my lady. Good luck on managing this castle in the coming months. I imagine it shall be very difficult.